ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin. This is my co-host Teddy, and today we're doing a 1080 showdown featuring two cards from Gigabyte. It's going to be the Gigabyte G1 Gaming GTX 1080. This is the one I personally use in my rig. And it's going to be going up against the Gigabyte Xtreme Gaming GTX 1080. So this will be very interesting for those of you out there in the market for a GTX 1080, and you'll see these two models getting sold and you'll probably wonder, is it worth it spending a bit extra money to get the Xtreme Gaming, or should I just save a bit of money and get the G1 Gaming? Now, for those of you who are very observant, you will have seen there is a yellow graphics card in my rig right now. That's the Sapphire Tri-X R9 290. The reason I've got that in to do some testing is because a lot of you guys have been asking for an old versus new showdown. So I thought the 290 is very popular. A lot of people bought it. It was great value for money back then when the 200 series was out. So I thought I would do that. But let me know in the comment section down below, what would you like me to showdown the 290 against? What new graphics card would you like to see it against? Maybe for the 290 owners out there, what are you thinking about upgrading to, or want to know if it is actually an upgrade? Like, can be from AMD, 480 or something, or from NVIDIA, can be a 1060, 1070. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd be really interested to know. Now let's jump straight in with the GPUs then, of these two graphics cards. So they're both coming with the 16 nanometer GP104 Pascal GPU. That means you get 2,560 CUDA cores. Now, speeds-wise, they both have their rated speeds, but just take those with a grain of salt because they both feature GPU Boost 3.0, which means they're both going to boost up higher than their rated speeds anyway. On the G1 Gaming, I saw it go up to 2012 MHz, and on the Xtreme Gaming, I saw it go up to 2062 MHz, and both of these cards were on their OC mode. So that's quite interesting there. Not as much of a discrepancy as I thought there would be, but in saying that, I think in terms of the Silicon Lottery, this Xtreme Gaming I have is sort of like a kind of middle of the road type in terms of the Silicon Lottery, whereas the G1 Gaming I have here, I think I did very well out of the Silicon Lottery with it, and it boosts up very high. Most G1 Gaming 1080s I've seen generally like to sit around the sort of 1950 mark. So in all reality, there's probably for the most part going to be about 100 megahertz difference between them for the majority of people out there. Now let's talk about the TDPs then. So they both come with 180 watt TDP. The main difference here is that the G1 Gaming just has a single 8-pin power connector, where the Xtreme Gaming has dual 8-pin power connectors. So a little bit of a difference there. When we look around to memory, they're both coming with 8 gigabytes of GDDR5X, so that's really, really good. There is a bit of a difference in speed though. So the G1 Gaming is going to be coming with a reference speed of 10,000 megahertz, where the Xtreme Gaming is coming with a bumped up speed of 10,400 megahertz. So a little bit of a difference there in favor of the Xtreme Gaming. Now let's talk about the coolers then, and we'll start with the G1 Gaming, and then we'll talk about some of the improvements that were made for the Xtreme Gaming. So the G1 Gaming here is running the Windforce cooler, which has been around since the Declaration of Independence was signed. It's been around a really, really long time, ever since I really started getting back into tech a lot, back when the 500 series was like brand new, was when I started really getting into computer tech heavily again. And it was around then, and it's still around now. So yeah, it's a very good cooler, does a very good job. You have the triple fan design, nice heat sinks there, very, it's quite a long card, but it's quite slim, which is good. It should fit in the majority of cases out there. It has a nice backplate there, and it has all Gigabyte's upgraded components. But the G1 Gaming takes it to the Xtreme Gaming, I should say, takes it to the next level. You'll see the huge difference in fan size, as the Xtreme Gaming has 100mm fans to the G1's 80mm fans. You'll also see the fans are overlapped. The middle fan also spins the opposite direction, so that's a bit different, and the heat sinks on the Xtreme Gaming are much, much larger. Overall, it's just a much bigger card, much bigger cooler on there. Now, they both have RGB lighting, but the Xtreme Gaming has a bit more. It has lighting on the front as well as on the side, and they both have nice backplates. and obviously they both have upgraded components and all that good stuff there. But suffice to say, the Xtreme Gaming is a much bigger, more heavy-duty graphics card over the G1 Gaming, so that's the allure for a lot of the overclockers out there. So let's jump into the benchmarks then. Now, there's not going to be much discrepancy between these two graphics cards, let's be honest. They're running very, very similar speeds, and obviously they're running the same GPU. So look at these more as what these graphics cards can do at the different resolutions in the different games, and see how applicable they are for you in terms of what maybe monitor you're running and what games you'll be playing. It'll give you a nice benchmark to really see what these graphics cards can do. So yeah, pretty much what we came to expect. They're both very close there. Of obviously the Xtreme Gaming, I should say, comes out on top. That's to be expected. Slightly higher GPU speeds and 400 megahertz higher memory speeds will do that. So yeah, pretty much what you're expecting, but both of them do very, very well, and all the benchmarks in both of these cards are extremely powerful. And if you're someone who's just gaming at 1080p, these cards are super overkill, too overkill to justify being used at 1080p. Maybe you could justify it if you're running, say, a 144Hz monitor or something like that. But for the most part, these guys are really suited for your 1440p, high refresh rate, and of course 4K gaming. So let's move on now to temperatures, and this is the more interesting part. How do these guys do in terms of temperatures? So for this, I did the Unigine Valley benchmark on the Xtreme HD preset. The G1 Gaming went up to 67 degrees Celsius at 51% fan speed. The Xtreme Gaming, on the other hand, went up to 62 degrees Celsius at 44% fan speed. So you see there, the Xtreme Gaming has lower temps by 5 degrees and also lower fan speed. So that's really good. That's what we expect out of a bigger cooler here. So if you were to run the Xtreme Gaming up to the same speed, say they're running the same fan curves on them, you would see even more of a significant difference in temperatures there in favor of the Xtreme Gaming. So yeah, really good cooling coming out of this graphics card. Everything we want to see out of a good graphics card here. The Pascal GPU isn't one of the hottest running GPUs ever, but it's still good to see, and that'll give you a lot of overclocking headroom there. But the G1 Gaming definitely doesn't do bad either, so we can't be too harsh on it. That's still a very solid score there. Now let's talk about noise. So I should say, after using both of these cards quite extensively, especially the G1 Gaming, since this is my personal GPU, I should say that they're both very quiet. They both do very good in terms of noise. One thing I will note, now this may just be my case because of the G1 Gaming I've got, but my G1 Gaming was a lot louder in terms of coil whine than the Xtreme Gaming. However, that may just be my GPU, and it may not be the case for other people out there buying one of these graphics cards. So let's show you guys the noise then. So this was also done in the Unigine Valley benchmark on the Xtreme HD preset. First I'll show you this G1 Gaming, and then I'll show you the Xtreme Gaming. So yeah, another win there for the Xtreme Gaming, although there isn't a huge discrepancy between the two. I'm not sure how well it showed up, the coil whine difference between them, but just take it from me, there was quite a big difference there. However, coil whine can be, you know, somewhat avoided by putting FPS limits on, especially if you're playing quite, you know, low requirement games, so that can help aid it. But for the most part, the Xtreme Gaming won in terms of noise, which is to be expected given that it also was running at a lower fan speed for the most part. It has a more conservative fan speed. Which brings us now to the conclusion. So let's talk about the average FPS then. So in terms of performance difference, the average FPS, if you add all the benchmarks together, shows that the G1 Gaming gets 81.9 FPS and the Xtreme Gaming gets 84 FPS. So we'll round up the G1 Gaming just to make it nice and neat and say on average out of the box in their OC modes, the Xtreme Gaming will get you 2 FPS better, which is not noticeable. However, most people are going to be paying attention to these guys because of the overclocking capabilities, not their out of the box speeds. And also the price difference between them. So the G1 Gaming at Playtech right now is coming in with a price tag of 1,099 New Zealand dollars, whereas the Xtreme Gaming is currently coming in at $1,259 on special, and normally it's 1,399 New Zealand dollars. So bearing that in mind, and also taking into consideration the fact that the Xtreme Gaming here comes with a lot more stuff. It's the premium pack one, so I suggest if you didn't watch my unboxing and overview of it, I would go back and watch that because it comes with a lot of cool stuff. So that's really good. So with that in mind, if you're in New Zealand, I would probably just go for the Xtreme Gaming because you're paying a little bit more, but you're getting a much better graphics card with a whole lot of extra stuff, which is really, really cool. However, if there is quite a big price discrepancy between it, and you're someone who isn't going to be overclocking at all, I would just definitely go for the G1 Gaming. It's going to give you everything you need, and it's going to be pretty quiet and have good temps at the same time. So basically, put it like this. Non-overclockers out there, or people that are only, you know, interested in doing a little bit of overclocking here and there, then I would go for the G1 Gaming. But anybody who's serious about their overclocking and wants to go absolutely crazy, definitely go for the Xtreme Gaming. You're going to like it a lot better. You're going to be able to go much more crazy with the overclock with this guy than the G1 Gaming. But both of these cards are excellent, and I highly recommend both of them. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.